Hey everyone, welcome back to another edition of Can You Hack It? I'm your host Ben, and this week we're taking a look at another system from Hackthebox.eu. This one's a Linux box called Curling. It's about a medium level of difficulty, and it is retiring this week. I actually wasn't planning on doing a video, but because I decided I'd give it a shot before it retired, and it was fairly simple to do, that I had enough time left over this morning that I would try and shoot something. So we'll see how this goes with minimal preparation. First thing we're going to want to do is pop open a terminal. And actually, I'm not sure that I'm connected. Get connected. And then we'll create a directory to work out of. So we'll do mkdir-p curling and then /nmap, which will create our curling directory and the nmap subdirectory inside of there. And then we'll switch into that directory. And then we're going to want to run nmap-t5 to make the timing aggressive, sc and sv to enumerate scripts and versions, oa to output all formats, and we'll write those to nmap/quick, v to be verbose, and then the IP address of the box, which is 10.10.10.150. We can see port 22 and 80 are open. So since 80 is open, let's switch over to another window and get a background scan going. And so I will use GoFuzz for that. We'll want to follow redirects, show full responses. We'll do 50 threads, show response codes of 200. Our word list will be user share word lists directory, or sorry, dirbuster directory list 2.3 medium. Let's see if there's anything else we want to add. And then the URL of the box 10.10.150/fuzz. Oh, let's add some extensions in here. I think it's txt. We'll do PHP txt, HTML txt. Get that going, switch back to our nmap scan. So it looks like it's finished up. We've got HTTP, we've got a filtered whois, and we've got 22. So what we can do real quick is identify the version of Ubuntu that we're running on. So we'll take a look and see what the default Apache and OpenSSH is. So Ubuntu Apache versions. Oops. And ours was 2.4.29. So 2.4.29 is Bionic. So it's likely we're working with 1804. So now let's take a quick look manually at the website. And it is a cool curling site. So it looks like it describes what curling is. We see that it's written by super user. All these seem to be Floris has signed off here, so it's possible Floris is a username. You could try like Floris and curling. Didn't work. So we'll go back. And so since this looks like it's Joomla from the icon there, let me see if we view the page source. Yeah, contents Joomla. And we don't see anything too interesting in here other than this comment that says secret.txt. Let's close this out. And let's get a Joomla scanner running. I think it's Joom scan. And I think we just provide it with a URL. So it identifies Joomla version 3.8.8, which I think is one of the later ones. I'm pretty sure that most vulnerabilities that I've seen are for 3.8.7 and before. But it's still good to check. Joomla exploits 3.8.12. I don't see any in here that are severe enough or that are the type where we would be able to get any code execution. Looks like there's stuff about SQL injections, but again, they're for prior versions to what we have on here. Let's see if JoomScan found anything else. So it found the administrator page at the default URL. And nothing else that was too interesting. We go back to our GoFuzz. Found the index, index.php, a README, a license. We found that secret.txt, which looks like maybe it's a password. So we'll copy this. Try and use that. Floris. Still no go. It's possible. It's possible that this is encoded. So what we can do is pipe that through base64 decode and see what happens. And yeah, it looks like it is encoded. So it's curling with a capital C 2018 exclamation point. So we can try that. So that looks like it is good credentials. So it says, hi, super user. And so let's try and go to the administrators page then. Let's see if we can get in here. Again, Floris. And curling 2018 exclamation point. And we can. And so what we're going to want to do now is see if there's a way that we can manage to get ourselves a shell on this system. So what we can try out first is, I believe there is a way, intermedia, for us to upload stuff. So if we just get a PHP web shell. Is this one that I've apparently used before? Copy that. And we will, I'm in the wrong directory. We'll call it shell.php. We'll save that. And then what we can try and do is upload that. So we just click upload, browse, shell.php, start upload. You've tried to upload files that are not safe. So what we can try and do then is, I believe there's a way for us to modify what is considered safe. So if we go to options, we can see legal file extensions. It says extensions file types that you are allowed to upload, comma separated. So that sounds like what we want. We'll add PHP, comma in there, save and close. It looks like it worked. Let's go back and make sure. So we see PHP in here. So now if we try and upload, and we get the same thing. So it looks like whoever built the box probably modified something so that even though we can actually add it there, it's not taking effect, or I'm doing it in the wrong spot. In either case, I suppose we can add it to legal image extensions to see if that works. Although that may cause the MIME type to be all messed up, but yeah, so same thing. So that is a dead end, but what we can do instead is, I believe there's also a way for us to edit the contents of the site itself, the themes or the templates. So if we go to templates, it looks like we've got two templates, Breezy and Protostar. Protostar is the default. So we click on that. And then we go to, actually I think I'm in the wrong spot. Sorry, templates. Protostar, okay, and so here's our templates. Let me take a look real quick. Oops. Let's see, we try and go to some random thing, URL not found. What I'm trying to do here is just see how easily I can get an error message to come up, because then we can modify the error page, but it looks like it might not be as easy. So what we can do instead is trying to avoid doing it on the index page, just because if somebody else happened to be doing this box. But for now, I guess I will just do it there. So what we're going to want to do here then is kind of take some pieces of this and modify the index page so that we can run commands. And then we can take this portion. And by the way, a better way to do this probably would be to modify it so that it had a URL parameter or something that wouldn't show up for anybody that browses the site. In this case, because of how early in the morning it is, although since it's worldwide it doesn't matter too much, I'm not super concerned about it, and we'll back this out as soon as we get access. So that should be good enough. Save and close. Oh, you know what I just thought of? Oops. That doesn't work. And so now we can see an execute command box here at the bottom. Who am I? Or www data. So ls. Looks like it's got a bunch of the commands that I've already typed before. So Flores is the only user on the box. So we see an admin area. We see password backup. And we see user text. Now, user text we can't read because this is owned by Flores, and we've got read write for the owner and read for the group, neither of which we are a member of, and no permissions for other. Password backup, on the other hand, it looks like we can read. Admin area we can't access, and the rest of this stuff isn't interesting. So what we can do is we can cat home Flores password backup. And what we get here, it looks like an output of some hex editor. So we'll take this, we'll copy it, let's paste it into Sublime Text. Let me fix the way this is displaying. And then since we've got what we need to get, I will go ahead and put this back. Again, if I hadn't just rushed through this box, I would find a better way to do that than this, because if somebody else was trying to do this box, it would have just given them access. And up to there. So now we should be back to the way things are supposed to be. So now what we've got here is we've got the output of some, XXD or some hex dump. So these are the bytes of something. This is the ASCII values, and these are the columns, or sorry, the rows. So what we can do is clean this up a bit, and then I think we can just use Python to fix it. There might be a way to just work with it like this, but I find it easier to do that, to do a little editing on it, make it just a string of hex values. And we'll replace all the spaces with nothing. And new lines. Okay, oops. Okay, so we can take that, and then let's just use a Python shell locally. So let's first import bin ASCII, and all we should have to do is do a out is equal to open, and we'll call this password backup.bin. Oh, and we want to open it up for writing binary data. And then we should just need to do a out.write bin ASCII.unhexlify. You know what, before I do that, let's put this into some a equals quotes. Okay, so now we can do out equals, sorry, not out equals, out.write and bin ASCII unhexlify a out.flush and out.close and exit or clip. And so now we've got a file called password_backup.bin, which is some blob that we don't know what it is yet. So if we just do a simple file password_backup.bin, it looks like it is bzip2 compressed data. So do bzip2 decompress password backup.bin. Cannot guess original name for, so it's just using some default name. So now we should have a password backup bin.out, and we do. So if we do a file password backup bin.out, it looks like this one is gzip compressed, and it was called password. So if we do gzip -d password backup.bin.out, unknown suffix, so we need to rename this. So what we'll do is we'll rename password backup.bin.out to password.gz. And it's possible this is a tar also. That's my guess on the next one. I don't actually remember though. So password.gz. So if we do gzip-d password.gz. Now we've got password. Password's bzip2 compressed again. So bzip2d password. So now we've got password out. So again, file password.out. Now it looks like it's tar formatted. So tar cxvf password.out. Now we've got password.text, which I'm assuming is an actual text file. And it is. So if we cat password.text, we get what we believe is a password. So first thing we can try using this on is SSH. So remember we saw SSH was open. We know that there is a username Floris. So if we do SSH Floris at 10.10.10.150, and we paste that value in, and we are now in as Floris. And so that was, when I was doing that part originally, at first I was kind of like thinking it was getting a little bit excessive with the zipping zips, but it's fine. So once we get in here, we can see user.text, we cat user.txt, pipe that to cut 1 through 16. Oops. Oh. Cut -C, I believe. Yeah, so there's the first 16 characters of the user flag. And so before we actually get going with something like Linenum, remember when we were looking through the web browser, we saw this admin area. So let's check that out and see what's in there. And just to explain, I'm not going to actually run Linenum on this system. The reason is because I came across this pretty much right away. And this is the way that we're going to get our privilege escalation. So we've got two files here. They're input and report. You can see that they're both owned by root, but their group is Floris. So we should be able to access them to read and write, as we can see here. And the other thing that sets it off is if you take a look at the date and the time, you can see that these have been modified really recently. So if I do date, it's March 29th, 13/14, so 13/13. So these were modified within the last minute. That's usually a sign that there's something running that's accessing these files. And so we cat input, we can see that it just says URL equals in the localhost. If we do like a wget 127.0.0.1, sorry, this is a new keyboard, so I keep mistyping things. Oh, sorry, it wants to write it here, so instead of wget, we'll do curl. And we can see that this is actually just the home page that we've already seen before. And if we cat report, same thing. So what it looks like is probably happening is the value in this input file is being read and it's being spit out into this report file. And as you can see, the time's updated again. And so what we can try and do here is we can try and see if we can get it to read something a little more interesting. To test out our theory, we can just do like a vim, or actually I'll just echo into it. Echo URL equals URL equals http://127.0.0.1 administrator. Spell that. Administrator. And then we can pipe that to input. Cat input. So that's set. We can do something like watch-n1 cat report. And so it looks like we only have a couple more seconds before the minute changes, and it'll probably run, and it did. And so we see that it looks like a 301 for the administrator's page. So we can get out of that. So we can see that if we change that, it does indeed change what is retrieved. And so what we need to figure out how to do is how we can use that to either get root access or to just read the root flag in this case. Now just for fun, we can try and do something like, we can assume that this is probably running curl. Could be running wget also, I suppose, or it could be something that's homebrewed. It may be that it's taking the value in here and appending it in the command line or something, so maybe we could add a semicolon, oops, and then like a who am I, Let's see what happens if we do this. Looks like it was changed while we were working on it. We've still got a while to go before it runs again. We've got, looks like 45 seconds. I'll just pause and then unpause right before. And so it looks like it's about to run. And this time we didn't see anything change on it. We do LSLA. You can actually see that report wasn't updated this time. Input was updated, so input's probably back to what it normally is. It is. And so apparently whatever we put in there was invalid syntax and caused it to not actually run. So what we can do instead is we can assume, or we can guess, that what we're looking at is the input to curl, in which case curl, if we look at the man page for it, file, I believe we can use a local. Instead of using HTTP, we can use file : / I guess I can look for that specifically. Yeah, so to use a metalink file in the local file system, use the file protocol. So what we can try and do then is vim input. Let's try and change this to file : / and this is the important part to remember, another slash, because we need to give the absolute URL or absolute path, which starts with a slash for the root file system. root.txt. Save that. And again, we'll watch it. Looks like we've got about 15 seconds. And so it should run here in just a second. And there we go. So that's all we needed to do to get the root flag. Now, a lot of people aren't satisfied with just getting the root flag. They want to get an actual root shell. And so the question came up a lot on the forums of how do you or can you get a root shell through this vulnerability? And the answer is yes. So I only tried one way. I'm guessing there's probably more ways than just the one. The first thing that I tried to do, though, which we'll do here real quick, was see if we could figure out what exactly this script was doing. So I had started out by doing like a vim input and trying something really simple like seeing if I could read the SSH keys for the root user. So I did like file : / root / .ssh IDRSA. And then, so basically it looks like we just started, so I'll cancel this. So that doesn't work. IDRSA doesn't exist, or it doesn't read it, either way. So the next thing that I did was see if I can figure out how exactly this is working. And so when I looked at the processes that are running, in fact, we'll just do that real quick. We'll do like a PS AUX. And basically we look through here, we don't see anything obvious that's running to cause this input report cycle to happen. The only thing that we notice is that cron is running. And so, next thing I tried to figure out is there a way that we can view what it is that cron's doing? And because of the fact that it uses files on the file system, what we can do is do file : / var spool cron tabs root, I believe. And so what that'll do, got 30 seconds. So what that'll do is that will read the root user's cron tab. And if he's got the job in his cron tab file, then we should be able to see what exactly it's doing, which should give us a better clue of what we could do to utilize it to get root access on the file system or on the system itself. And so that runs and works. We can see that there's two things happening. There's a curl command with capital K. What capital K is it gets a configuration file, and then they're writing the output to home florist admin area report. And then they're doing a sleep, and this is probably the default input. They're writing that to the admin area input. So that's really all there is to that part of it. So that's pretty simple. Since we know now that this is using a configuration file from curl, we could look at curl man page again, look for -K. And so what we can see here is that we're able to put any of the command line options in this file, like they give an example here, 1 per line. And so since we can control both the URL, including local files that it's reading from, and the output, what we can try and do next is see if we can manage to stick an SSH key in that allows us to log in as root. You know, there's probably other ways to do it. I'm hoping I see some other ways when people publish their write-ups and their videos, just to see what other ways people came up with for doing it. Obviously, you could modify the sudoers file probably as another option. Give yourself sudo permission, just sudo. But for ours, what we'll do is we will add a SSH key. So let's switch back here real quick. Let's do SSH keygen. And we'll call the key curling, or curling root. Won't give it a passphrase. Should give it a passphrase, but that's fine for this case. So now if we do an ls, we see that we have curling root and curling root.pub. And so what we'll want to do is we need to be able to serve this because we're going to use curl to get it. We could manually copy it over and use the local file, but since curl's able to access our system anyway, we'll just use that. So if we do ifconfig, we're 10.10.14.9. So we do python-m, simple HTTP server. We'll serve on port 80. So we're just serving out of our current directory now. And so if we vim input and we change this to 10.10.14.9 / curling root.pub, and then output is equal to, for now let's just do temp test. The reason I'm doing that is just to show, because if we put it in the root directory in this SSH folder, we wouldn't be able to see if it worked until, so it looks like it got it. We wouldn't be able to see if it worked until we tried to log in. Whereas if we do this, we should be able to see if it actually created an output. Sorry, ls/temp. So we do see test. And so it did work. The reason I was unsure originally if that was going to work or not is because as we see in the curl script, there is already an output command. And so I didn't know if ours from the configuration file was going to overwrite that, or if it was going to write to both of them, which actually I'd never checked. Let's see. Interesting. So yeah, it took ours over the one that was in the curl command, it looks like. And so if we just vim input again then, this time we'll write it to the correct place. So we do 10.10.14.9 / curl, or sorry, curling root.pub. Output is equal to root.ssh, and then authorized keys. And I hit the wrong key somewhere probably. There we go. So the cat input. And so now we just take a look at date, see what time it is. So we've got A little over 15 seconds to go. And so what this is going to do is this is going to write our public key into the authorized keys folder inside root's .ssh folder. And that should allow our key, which it looks like it was served, that should allow our SSH key that we just created to log in as root on the system. So if we close out of that Python web server, we do ssh-i for our identity file, which is curling root. And then we do root at 10.10.10.150. And now we have root access. And so like we cat root.ssh, authorized keys. We can see that we are the only one with an authorized key entry in there. And we can see why my original attempt, I actually didn't check this, so it'll be funny if I'm wrong here. Yeah, why my original attempt to read IDRSA failed is because there is no IDRSA. And so that's all there is to this box. That's how you get root access on it. Hopefully I'll be back to making more of these videos soon, although I'm actually looking into doing some stuff based more on topics and less on specific challenges like this, especially stuff with reverse engineering and exploit development. But haven't been getting a lot of that done, so we'll see what happens. But in the meantime, when there's boxes that I have a chance to do, I'll still try and throw up videos for them. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'll be creating some new channels once I get that new content up. Something that's more specific to the topic. I'm also thinking of doing some stuff more in the programming realm. So I'll probably create a channel for that if I do also. So feel free to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Twitter, although honestly I don't tweet a whole lot anymore. I do retweet stuff that I find interesting when I see it. Everything is related to computer security or computers in general. Anyway, so that is all there is for this box. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you on the next video.